kicking my feet as I'm moving to the music.
Hello, everybody. My name is Heinrich from the Heike and Heinrich winery in Golz, Burgenland, the most eastern part of Austria, which is also the warmest part of the Austrian wine growing regions. And this is also the reason why we focus on red wine. And yeah, you can see all these wooden fermenters behind me and in the cellar in this middle level here. So the dominant grape variety is Blaufränkisch, and it covers about 50% of the wine growing area of the winery. And but we're doing more and more of white wines, skin fermented whites as well. And we focus on natural style of winemaking. So today we will show you the way of the grape in our cellar, more or less. So we're working with gravity.
Yeah.
So now we're in the middle level of the cellar, and I would like to show you where the grapes are falling into the fermentation vat and into the amphoras. So we're doing the sorting of the grapes, the selection of the grapes on sorting belts in the upper level, which we cannot see now, but we just see the hole where all the grapes are falling through into the tanks. And all the tanks in the cellar, up to 3,000 liters, are mobile, so we can move them around even when they're full and take them over here, fill them and take them back. So that's a very gentle and flexible mobile system of vinifying and fermenting. It's still quiet in the cellar now, but I think in a few weeks, and I'm thinking about first week of September, I think we will already start with new harvest. So Pinot Noir will be the first that we pick. And especially for Pinot, we do not destem the whole grapes. Sometimes we do whole bunch fermentation and we fill the amphoras a third or half of it with whole bunch. And then we destem and destem the rest. But we still stay with whole berries because our destemmer is working in a very gentle way. So just shaking off the berries from the stems, and it's not destroying the single berry. So this is also an important matter because the fermentation starts in the berry, and that means a different aroma profile and also different tannin profile. So the tannin does never get bitter and harsh. Yeah, I would like to show you the path of the grapes now. So you fill the tanks here, the amphoras and the wooden vats, and we move them over there. And we're using different sizes of these vessels. So the amphoras are 1,000 liter, and the wooden fermentation vats, they are from 1,000 to 3,000, but most of them are 3,000 liters. But it doesn't matter if you fill 1,000 kilogram in there or 2,000 or 3,000. So you're also flexible in terms of fermenting different amount of grapes in these wooden tanks. And yeah, during fermentation, they are open. So the CO2, which happens during the fermentation, it can disappear. And a bigger advantage is that we can do fermentation in those, but also the aging. So we try to keep them full over the summer. So you can see these are, most of them are full now, up to the top. And it's in there, it's Naked Red 2020, but also Zweigelt or the entry-level Blaufränkisch. We are aging in those wooden vats. Yeah, the same advantage you have with the amphoras. So you can do fermentation, skin fermentation, but also just juice fermentation. And we can also use them for aging. And I like it a lot because it's less oxidation. There is less influence of the oxygen. So it's a slow development, slow ripening process in the amphoras. And the wine keeps really fresh in there. And there is no so-called bad influence of oak. If the oak is not perfect, that can also be bad influence, dry tannins, whatever, to the wine. And especially for Blaufränkisch and the really elegant red wine style, I prefer the amphoras for the aging. And you can stay in there for 3 years without oxidation. It's really very slow ripening. And yeah, we can decide if we stay a few days or a few weeks on the skin here. So we are very flexible. And after fermentation is finished, or after we decide the skin contact time is over, then we rack the juice off with a sieve. So we're putting a sieve into it, and we just suck the liquid out of the amphora into the barrel or another amphora. And then we turn the rest, so the grapes, which are still in there, without liquid, into the basket press. And we can turn this wooden construction here with the forklift, so which is also very gentle, so we can turn it, the whole thing, into the basket press. Now I would like to go down to the next level, to the lowest level of the cellar, which we use for aging, for the reds, but also for the whites. So I hope the connection will stay, and we do not lose you.
Yeah. So we got a question.
Yes, please.
So how many liters does it hold in the amphora?
1,000 liters.
1,000.
Yes.
Okay.
But there are also smaller ones. For the future, I think we'll order 750 liter and also some ceramic eggs, which are containing about 300 liters. So we need some smaller vessels too. Yeah, you can see the different colors here of the white wine. For example, Pinot Gris is interesting. So when you're fermenting Pinot Gris, it's really dark color you're extracting out of the skin. So even if it's a white wine grape, it's really colorful. It looks about the same inside as outside. There is no there is no coating on the inside because it's rough, so it's pure clay fired, and that's also important for us. So it's kind of porous, and you have a large inner surface for all the microorganisms, for the bacteria and yeast, because we do all spontaneous fermentation, spontaneous malolactic, and we are not adding any additives. So it's just natural and spontaneous fermentation. So the same effect you have in the big barrels, this large oval-shaped casks, and these are also rough on the outside, but also inside. And this is very important because you're having the same population of microorganisms every year. So, and we just clean them with hot water. So we're not using any chemicals at all. We want that all these living beings in our cellar, that they survive and they like it in here. And they do an important work for us.
Cool.
So as you can see here, the wine is really cloudy. So this is Chardonnay from Leiterberg from 2020. And it stays on the full lees without sulfur for all the time. And it goes through a lactic, and it's not oxidizing at all. So it has this kind of green yellow color. Very nice and fresh vintage. The alcohol content is moderate, so it's not too high. And I really like this vintage a lot. And I like also this saltiness in it, and it's completely dry. And yeah, very clean, fresh, and this kind of whetstone smell on the nose. What you also find in summer for Blaufränkisch. And yeah, we're going to taste the Blaufränkisch later on. And I think I would like to show you also the next cellar where we're aging our red wines, especially Blaufränkisch, the top Blaufränkisch, which are staying in tonneaus, in 500 liter casks, but also in amphoras.
で、今のが白ワインのパートだったんですけれども、これから赤ワインの貯蔵庫に。Wow! Very cool.
It's nice to walk through the cellar and have people watching it. So these are the tonneaus here. So we have about, in total, 900 of these 500-liter casks, and yeah, for some of the Blaufränkisch, we stay up to 3 years in amphoras or in the tonneaus.
Light of the
Yeah.
Blaufränkisch.
Blaufränkisch 16,
16. Very nice.
which I like a lot. It's a cooler vintage, and I like this character of the cooler vintage of Blaufränkisch, this kind of leafiness, spiciness, and I mean, the general character of Blaufränkisch is high acidity, quite fine-grained tannin. Sometimes it can be a little bit rough, but not with our style of vinification. So we don't do that much skin contact, and we are not pumping over too much or punching down too much. I think this is also very important for the Blaufränkisch. And I think Blaufränkisch needs at least 5-6 years in a bottle, aging in a bottle. And this is perfect now. Kind of meatiness still. I just opened it half an hour ago. So I would give it a bit more time to breathe. About 2 hours would be perfect. And also a bit lower temperature to keep the freshness in the wine. And as I said, I like this kind of floral notes in it, but also this whetstone and a bit of firestone in it. But the reduction was quite intense when the wine was young, but now I think it disappeared completely, and it's part of the complexity of the aroma. So it just needs a bit more time, and I think this is also a sign for a good aging potential. I think it's a perfect expression if you do skin fermentation with the whites. Since we are very warm and dry area, I think there is a lot of taste and aroma in the skin of our white wine grapes. And for us, it's logical that we do skin fermentation with our grapes to extract all the complexity, the aromas out of it. And sometimes it's important to do it in a very gentle way, also the pressing, and sometimes we do not even use the press must. So we just use the free running juice after skin fermentation. But in the end, it's more taste and more expression of that what nature gives us. I mentioned all the bacteria and yeasts, and I think you have this typical microflora in the cellar, you have it in the cask, and you have it in the amphoras. And if you're adding a lot of sulfur, you're kind of depressing all the living beings in there, and you're preventing some developments, some processes going on in a natural way. And actually you want these processes going on. So you want the alcoholic fermentation, you want the malolactic fermentation, and you want some other degradations of other substances in the wine, which you need to stabilize the wine. And I think, therefore, we are not using sulfur sometimes. Sometimes you need to select your bacteria if the wrong guys are working in there, but it can be dangerous as well. But most of the time, it's happening in a very good way and in a natural way. Yeah, the only thing we're doing is the tasting. Once every month, I would say, we're tasting all the wines. And in this amphora here is Blaufränkisch Alterberg 2018, which is still in the cask. So one of our top Blaufränkisch.
Yeah.
And we'll bottle it next spring. But it's still sleeping in there. And 18 was a very hot vintage, but I think we picked quite early, so just the right picking time. And we could keep this freshness and acidity, and it doesn't taste like a 3 years old wine, so it's really fresh. So that's the advantage of the amphoras. And yeah, it's also very cold in here, so we keep it around 15 degrees, which is perfect temperature for aging.
Thank you for hanging out
Yeah.
with us today. Then,
Yeah, you're welcome, and it was a pleasure for me to show you our cellar and
yeah.
the vinification and our explaining our philosophy of winemaking.
Thank you.
See you.
See you soon.
See you soon, hopefully.
ご視聴いただきありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、コメントお待ちしております。またお会いしましょう。